Well, from the Styrian countryside 2 weeks ago, we are now in the United Kingdom. Funnily enough, it's British Grand Prix week, and welcome along to the League Zero Super Formula Series presented by Inca Salsa. 2 rounds already in the books, still got quite a few more to go, including round 3 tonight here at Silverstone Grand Prix Circuit, the home of British motor racing. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, you're joining myself and Dean Biggles, your commentary duo, for today's proceedings around this 5.8 kilometre circuit, 18 turns in total, altitude of 147 metres above sea level. We're going to be running at the Arena Grand Prix. This circuit, originally an old RAF airbase, now a bona fide motor racing circuit, first opened back in 1948. And Biggles, well, it looks like the weather has followed us here to the United Kingdom, because during qualifying, which we are about 3 minutes away from finishing from, with Jaden Callaway leading ahead of Noddy ML, who's leading the standings, it is wet. It's cats and dogs here in Northamptonshire, my friend.
Yeah, good evening there as well there, Alex. Always a pleasure to be in the booth with one of the pros behind the microphone. And yeah, well, I thought you guys are going through a heat wave currently at the moment in Europe, but there you go, typical UK weather here in Silverstone. So it's not tricky enough of this old classic airfield track, my friend. You know, in the birthplace, I'd have to say, of motorsports practically anywhere in the world. You've got to deal with the dreaded UK weather.
Indeed, the host of the first ever Formula One Grand Prix, of course.
Wasn't that the Mutton GP? Or was that earlier?
Mutton Def, Jeff. Yeah, Mutton Jeff, Def.
No, the Mutton Grand Prix, because they ran over a, what was it, a sheep or something like that, wasn't it?
Maybe, who knows? Yeah. But at the meantime, we are coming down to the final minute and a half. Jaden Callaway is currently 6th in the standings on 40 points, leading the way. There's Noddy ML, who's currently leading the standings after 4 starts, 2 wins, 1 pole position, and has been in the top 5 and the top 10 all the way through the opening 2 rounds of this championship, Okayama and the Red Bull Ring. We've got, after this, we've got 29 drivers which have set qualifying laps. We've run on board with the number 99, running in his customary Ferrari tribute livery van. Of course, Lewis Hamilton looking to secure another podium this weekend in the colours of the Prancing Horse at the Northamptonshire circuit. Very competitive top 3 with Noddy ML and Elliott Court, who rounds out the top 5 in the standings, covered by just 6 and a bit tenths of a second. Antonio Bianchi, Gabriel Hopp, who's also been in competition in other Super Formula leagues, rounds out your top 5 ahead of Larry Johnson, Anthony Zitch, Fabian Sanchez, Adam Merchant, Frankie Brzezowski. Nick Peterson rounds out the top 11 in qualifying, and they are covered by 1.7 seconds at the moment. Top 23 rounded out by Francis Leo Delmas, covered by 3 seconds. So Noddy ML leads the standings on 78 points ahead of Antonio Bianchi. Fabian Sanchez a further 10 points behind on 47, rounds out the top 3 in the standings, ahead of Adam Merchant, Elliott Court, Jaden Callaway, Frankie Brzezowski, Raymond Aguilar. Then we got Nick Peterson and AJ Brenner rounding out your top 10. In the team standings, it's competition 51 on 97 points. Black Squid Racing and FNG Racing rounding out the top 3 in the standings on 90 and 46 points apiece. DDK and Race Anywhere 4th, head of Squid Gang Racing, Arrive and Drive Racing, RACCGP, Rodent Racing, Mustard Seed Racing, and Rodent Junior round out your top 10. So, double race format, and the grid has been set. We're going to have an 8-lap sprint, and it's going to be a top 5 in for the top 24 lap feature. Here's your starting grid. It's Callaway on pole position, ML alongside on the front row with Elliott Court and Antonio Bianchi rounding out the top 2 rows. Gabriel Hopp, Larry Johnson, Nick Peterson, Anthony Zitch, Fabian Sanchez, Adam Merchant round out your top 10. Frankie Brzezowski, Jared Siegler round out the top 12 ahead of Alain van der Herve, AJ Brenner, Saji Zuhair. Then we've got Michael Fairchild and Jace Mayer rounding out the top 17 with JJ Williams, Rafi Alti and Julian Mador rounding out the top 20. Josh Kampfer, Xavier Zinav, Leo Delmas, Peter Heitinger, Austin Thomas, Robert Nobles, Guillermo Pare. Then we've got Gareth McAllister and Aaron Goessler rounding out the 29 drivers that set the lap time in the qualifying session. Unfortunately, the 2:03 of James Turnbull did not set the lap time in this session. But it is going to be a standing start. 19 degrees air temperature, 16 degrees track, as it's going to be the good old Super Formula cars, 2-litre, 4-cylinder inline turbocharged engines producing around about 500 brake horsepower. Plus, also with these cars, we've got the push-to-pass facility, which means that all 30 drivers will be able to deploy an additional 50 to 60 additional horsepower for overtaking and defending. The 5 red lights start to light up here as we're going to be starting from the Hamilton Straight. It's lights out and away we go here at Silverstone. And there are scrambles up and down the order. There are going to be rooster tails as they head into Abbey for the first time. Big incident at the back. And that is going to be Goessler, Thomas Delmas and Alti involved in that one. So some early casualties as they will head into the loop here at Silverstone before the run down through Aintree and down the famed Wellington Straight before we head to Brooklands and Luffield. Then it's going to be the run through Woodcote, heading down into Copse Corner, one of the most fearsome corners in modern day motorsport. The original turn 1 at Silverstone before current variation that we have now. Callaway leads at the moment. Sanchez up 2 positions. It's getting a bit feisty a little bit further back, as there is Adam Merchant for Squid Gang Racing in the number 41. He's got to his outside. Anthony Zitch trying to get through. Big old incident coming out of Luffield, and that is going to be AJ Brenner in the barriers. Also, that is not going to go very, very well. They're nearly 3 wide going into Copse Corner, as there are rooster tails up and down the order as they head down through into one of the fastest parts of the circuit, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, and then it's the run down the Hanger Straight. So already we've had some casualties. Peter Heitinger, Aaron Goessler, Austin Thomas, as Callaway starting to pull a little bit of a gap, 0.6 of a second. We're running on board with Elliot Court in the DDK and Race Anywhere, number 23, rounding out the top 3 at the moment. So Noddy ML holding on to the coattails of Jaden Callaway, who continues to lead as we complete the opening lap. A little bit wide coming out of Club Corner onto the Hamilton Straight by Noddy ML, which means that Elliot Court is starting close on in. It's got that gap down to about 0.3 of a second. Hard on the brakes. In towards the loop we go here on lap 2. Very fraught opening lap with multiple drivers taking big old damage, Dean.
Yeah, it's the shenanigans causing the wet weather, just catching everybody off there, because they've been obviously doing their qualifying laps and their practice laps and stuff like that, but they haven't been doing their racing laps, so they haven't necessarily had cars directly in front of them that they can avoid, of course, and in fact, on the race conditions, you will also break your car, and that will be game over for you. And I'll tell you what, I don't think a lot of these drivers got that memo at the moment, mate. They're racing like this is the finale of the season, as they're just going for it tooth and nail. That's because literally taking it and said his famous quote, "if gap car," to the extreme.
One of your favourite sayings as well, and it's very, very much abbreviated. The if gap car. You know, just go for it. We're on board with Jace Mayer for Rabbit Racing in the number 77. Currently running P13 behind the number 41 of Adam Merchant. And great to see quite a lot of these different liveries on display. Loving the F2004 tribute band from the driver in the number 66 from the Netherlands, Alain van der Herve.
Yeah.
And he's closing in on Ziegler. This is going to be the battle for ninth. And then they've got J.J. Williams in the Rocket Williams livery back in the day when George Russell used to be with the team. So van der Herve gets through. Williams is trying his best, but Ziegler goes on the defensive. This is heading down in towards Club Corner. So, again, just waiting to deploy that good old P2P, the push to pass. So it's an additional horsepower boost of around 50 to 60 horsepower. And they have a certain amount of uses, about 200 seconds maximum.
skating, my friend,
That
through
was-
there at the moment. That's Cops, isn't it? That's high speed. Oh, he's had the lift off.
No, that was going through into Abbey and then into
Abbey's.
Village. A bit of a moment. That was a bit of a moment there for Adam Merchant. Xavier Zinav in the number 12 car started 22nd, now up 9 spots is the French racer. Up to 13th place, Guillaume Paré and James Turnbull. Both have made up 10 spots apiece. But at the moment, Jaden Calloway with a clear track in front of him, managing to keep a better eye on the competition because they are behind him. And he can definitely know that they will have a lot of let's say Rooster Tail spray going in the general direction as Xavier Zinav for Rodent Racing in the number 12 car. Currently closing in on Adam Merchant for Squid Gang Racing. And there you can see Williams on the back of Ziegler going through into, of all places, into Maggots and Beckett.
That's all you can see.
And Williams, look at that. That's all you can see from the back of a Super Formula car here at Silverstone in the wet.
Absolutely crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
I know, it's just absolutely mad as they go down the Wellington Straight. Williams in the number 14 car pulls to the outside. Now this is going into, I think this is going to be going into one of the fastest, well, it's going to be going into Vale and into Club Corner. And that was very, very close. Williams got through on Ziegler. Merchant up the inside of Zinav. That's going to be close. Oh, you are very, very much chancing that going across the start-finish straight over what's known as the Hamilton Straight now, named after Sir Lewis Hamilton, 7-time Formula One world champion, as the Squid Gang Racing number 41 of Adam Merchant manages to keep the likes of Anthony Zitch behind him. Gabriel Hopp, the Brazilian for FNG Racing, closing in on Larry Johnson in the number 13. For 5th place. More importantly, it's a top 5 invert. So if you are 5th at the end of this race, you are on pole for the feature coming up, which will be 24 laps of this nearly 5.9 kilometre long circuit. There's Gabriel Hopp with a big old rate of speed there, trying to close on in. He's got Johnson in his sights. Bianchi not too far ahead either, the Italian. Currently in the higher points of the championship fight. You could just see. I love this. Antonio Bianchi for Avanti Motorsport. Fantastic stuff there in the number 17. Some great liveries we're seeing here as Bianchi on the deployment. You can see the light above the on the top of the airbox actually flashing away, showing that he is deployed. And then once it is stationary, they are not using it. But here we go, Jared Ziegler versus, that's Gillian Madori, the Canadian. They are trying to get through what will be Stoke Corner. It's going to be the run up through Vale and into Club. Hard of the brakes goes on the door there in the number 60. But apart from this battle here for 13th, 14th and 15th, because you've got Anthony Zitch not too far away either, Gabriel Hopp is keeping Larry Johnson in the number 13 car very, very honest indeed. And so far this season, we've had 4 different winners in 3 different winners. We've had Noddy ML, who's won 2 races. Adam Merchant and Elliot Court have won a race apiece. Could be on course to securing our 4th different race winner this season. But Elliot Court trying to close in on Noddy ML. He's got the push to pass engaged down the old international pit straight through into Copse Corner. And Elliot Court is still holding on to that button because he knows that there's going to be a lot of advantage gained.
Just a minor lift there through too, isn't it?
I know, but he's still got the button hold because as soon as they come out of Chapel,
he's got the exit.
It's going to be absolutely. Yeah, he has got the exit here, and to the outside of Noddy ML. Is Elliot Court going to try and fling it round the outside here at Stoke Corner? He is going to give it a go. He will get the inside line, but Noddy ML comes straight back at him. Through to the inside line, and Noddy ML uses the push to pass to respond. Elliot Court goes, I nearly had him right then. But you still got to do it all again, sunshine. You got to get it through and get the job done. Gabriel Hopp now up past Antonio Bianchi. Bianchi as Gabriel Hopp now finds himself in 5th. Larry Johnson now up into 4th place. So we have this and 2 more laps to go. So out on lap 1 were Fabian Sanchez, AJ Brenner, Rafi Alti. Then we got Leo Delmas, Austin Thomas, Aaron Gussler, and Peter Heitinger were the drivers that were embroiled in multiple incidents in the first lap of this 8-lap encounter. There's quite a few big circuits to come across over the course of this particular season of the League Zero Formula Series, and it's
that's bold and brave. He's going to have to go wide. He's got to be careful behind him too, because Bianchi's ready to pounce on him any little moment you can make here between this squabble at the moment. You see on your pictures for P3. We knew that little battle that we had before that. It's sort of taking a little bit of a break at the moment. This is absolutely fantastic. This is like Lewis Hamilton will be watching this going, this is how you drive Silverstone in the wet. And we know Sir Lewis Hamilton is a mastermind at this, isn't he, mate? I mean, he can do it.
Anyone might remember his victory from 2008 and that silver Vodafone McLaren Mercedes.
Elliot.
But that is Elliot caught. He's been caught out, pardon the pun, on that one. So let's just see. This is going to be going into the corner at Cops. Is he going to look? Yeah, he's just lost the back end, and it's
day late, dollar short. Man, Rodder would say on that one. Well, day early, and a few dollars short on that one. Larry Johnson and Gabriel Hopp. This is a battle for P3, the final podium position, essentially on the final lap of our sprint race, my friend. And it's going over so quickly because it's been so action-packed. We didn't get a chance to really go back and look at those replays just yet.
No, Antonio Bianchi is currently on the top 5 invert pole position for the feature race. And, well, at the moment, Jaden Callaway is making sure, good his intentions, he's got a 2-second advantage over Noddy ML. Here we are with Antonio Bianchi for Avanti Autosport in the number 17. The Italian is going to be on the top 5 invert for the 24-lap feature in 2 weeks' time. July 17th, we head to Fuji. Then it's the first of a... well, there is going to be a little bit of a breather between this one, but July 17th, we go to Fuji. Then it's Road America, July 24th. July 31st, we go to Circuit de Navarre-Magny-Cours, which is still used to this very day, folks, don't worry. Mugello, August 14th. Barcelona, Catalunya, 21st of August. Zandvoort, the penultimate round, and then Monza on September 4th. So we are very shortly going to be starting the white flag here in this first of 2 races. So a very, very short feature. 8 laps in total. Then we go and treble the distance for the feature race, where they will have to do a mandatory pit stop, if memory serves me correctly, for the as per the regulations. But it has been a very, very comfortable run as Squid Gang Racing's Jaden Callaway, number 1, leading, but Noddy ML has got that gap down by about 0.6 of a second in the last few sectors. Yeah. So
Callaway's becoming like a... Out. Yep, go ahead.
Well, you were going to say Callaway's he's been like a bit of a...
bit of a slide on the exit there. Yeah, he's like Charles Leclerc, like he wants to get promoted to the Ferrari that's behind him there of Noddy. So he's like, then again, if you're driving the pants off this basically, you'd have to say Sauber machine at this point. Well, it's similar to an Alfa Romeo livery too. But yeah, why would you want to change? It's kind of like Liam Lawson, isn't it, in the Red Bull? It's like, why would you want to go to the Alfa Red Bull currently at the moment? Because nobody can drive that car apart from Max Verstappen. But a man that can drive the Squid Gang Racing entries is this man, Hayden Callaway.
Yeah. Now, also, one of the things that we do have to remember is that a mandatory pit stop for tyres will be required.
Hayden Callaway's just getting to Noddy!
Oh, my goodness me. Of all the places you lose it coming in a Cop's corner, and Noddy ML is he's going to be on course for now what will be his 3rd victory of the season. Noddy ML down the Hangar Straight. If anyone might remember, I remember because I was actually there in the media centre when it happened. The 51G incident that a certain Kimi Räikkönen had back in 2014 on the opening lap. But drama for Jaden Callaway, who's just thrown away his opportunity to become a new race winner in this season of the League Zero Formula Series, but it's going to be out of the final corner. Noddy ML picks up his third win of the season so far and manages to rearrange the car completely. Second, it's going to be Jaden Calloway with his best finish. Third, Gabriel Hopp. Fourth is going to be Larry Johnson, and Antonio Bianchi for Avanti Autosport is going to be fifth. Then it's Nick Peterson. Good effort there by Shaji Zuher, up 8 places to finish 7th. Alan van der Herve in 8th. JJ Williams and Adam Merchant completing the top 10. Xavier Zinav 11th at the finish, head of Julian Mador. Jared Siegler is going to come across the line, finished 13th, head of Jace Mayer. James Turnbull rounds out the top 15, having started stone dead last. Guillermo Paré finishing ahead of Anthony Zitch. Josh Kempfer and Robert Nobles round out the top 19 with Frankie Brzezowski here in the number 81. But we're going to have a look at some of these replays. Oh, well. All I can say is remember Romain Grosjean saying these guys are crazy.
Yes.
What was it? Portimao on a restore. It's just like literally. Aaron Gussler lost the right front, so he had 3 wheels on that wagon. Gareth McAllister, so what did he do from Rodent Jr.? Spun it on his own.
Yeah.
And then we had an incident in front. So...
somebody hitting pit road too.
Yeah, it's Peter... Yeah, Peter Heitinger, the Austrian. Here's Fabian Sanchez. We're going to see what happened to him. So he came into the pit lane.
The old pit lane, yeah, exactly, my friend.
Anyway. My goodness me. Well, yeah. 24 laps this time. Hopefully everyone's going to keep it on the black stuff. But here are your results. Noddy ML picks up his third win of the season so far, ahead of Jaden Calloway, who dropped it coming out of Cops, which I never expected. But maybe the tyres may have fallen off the cliff a little bit. Who knows? He finishes P2 ahead of Gabriel Hopp with Larry Johnson and Antonio Bianchi for Avanti Autosport, rounding out your top 5. Bianchi thereby becomes the top 5 invert pole position sitter for our 24 lap feature race coming up very shortly, ahead of Nick Peterson, Shaji Zuhair, Allard van der Herve, JJ Williams, Adam Merchant, Xavier Zinav, Julian Mador, Jared Siegler, Jace Mayer, James Turnbull, Guillaume Paré, Anthony Zitch, Josh Kampfer, Robert Nobles, and Frankie Brzezowski rounding out your top 20 finishers in that one. Bit of a rate of attrition. I mean, we had 30 starters on the grid, and I think we had, we had Elliot caught out with 2 laps to go. Gareth McAllister was a lap down. You had Sanchez, Brenner, Gussler, Thomas, Alti, Delmas, and Reitinger all pretty much out within half a lap. So a bit of decimation. That's the thing when the weather comes into play, folks.
And it looks like it's not easing up at the moment as well, too. So it's like that. Well, the Silverstone weather that we had, of course, in last year's race, you can see currently at the moment, that would be classic Silverstone right there. You can barely see the old hangar, the old World War II hangar where they go motor racing these days, and they go motor racing, of course, this weekend in real life as well. Whether or not we get that weather this weekend, I'm not quite sure. These drivers perhaps could dial into, get in there and let the Formula One drivers know how the conditions are going to feel like, of course, but in the slower junior Super Formula cars. But still, it's tricky, and you're tiptoeing your way around this classic iconic circuit. Are we going to see perhaps some of those shenanigans from our first heat race, or because they have more of a feature race there, Alex, are they going to probably take it a little bit more easy?
Well, you tell them it's 3 times the distance, guys. Just have a bit more of a strategy. They've got to do a mandatory tyre stop as well, let's not forget. So that's going to be quite crucial.
And what do you switch to? Yeah.
But you can't switch to inters. You can't switch to dries. It's either wet, or wet.
Wet.
So it's more the case of just trying to get through this opening lap of the opening couple of laps, build a rhythm, build a pace, and see how you get on. And this is why some of the drivers are on the circuit at the moment. So Yeah,
Yeah.
it is going to be quite interesting what's going to be happening. And Elliot Court has just put in the Discord. I'm guessing that's still mandatory pit stop in the wet. Yes, if it's in the regulations.
Not like the
It's
Formula
yes,
One,
it
no,
is.
no, not if it's wet. If you start on the wet,
No,
where
no,
the
no.
tires, you
Yeah.
a little bit of spin on the. I tell you what, I don't like to do this very often, but because we don't really set up too much for wet weather broadcasts here. But I'm gonna throw a little iRacing overlay on there, so just ignore that for a second, okay? More importantly, let's have a look at that rain cover that's coming in. Now have a look at that map, my friend, of the track, and we'll zoom out a little bit. Look at this. Mostly cloudy, overcast, rain. That's for the next 3 hours. And look at it. You got bands of it. So you can see some heavy parts starting to kick in at the moment there. So we've just had some of the light stuff, mate. We're getting the heavy. We're getting the monsoons kicking in here in the United Kingdom. And then it might ease up a little bit later on to the race. So that's going to be very interesting. Looking and zooming in right now, you can see we're getting into the heavy stuff. But we're getting into the lighter rain for a little bit. And then perhaps we'll get heavier again as we get deeper into this race.
But that'll still keep the track temperature lower than the actual air temperature, like we saw. It was 19 degrees Celsius air, 16. So it's. I'm gonna, where it says moderately wet, I'm gonna use Jeremy Clarkson euphemism. Mildly moist.
Yes.
It's probably what Mr. Clarkson would utter at this moment. Yes, it's mildly moist. Yes, there's a little spray in the air. Yeah, you think, Jezza. But the thing is, this is going to give an opportunity to the drivers. I mean, we're just coming to the end of the 5-minute warm-up session before we go on to the 24-lap feature. So Noddy ML now has picked up 3 wins this season. So we're about to start our third feature race.
And I'm just wondering, my friend, whether or not you're going to see that rare mistake creep in again too, isn't it, from Jaden Callaway? Because that basically is a rare mistake that he threw away the victory, and he had that one. So I'd like to see how that's going to pan out. But as you said, we've got a reverse grid coming up.
So let's take you through the starting order. It's going to be Antonio Bianchi and Larry Johnson on the front row. Gabriel Hopp and Jaden Callaway round out row 2 with Noddy ML, who picked up the victory in race 1 of the night. He starts from P5. He'll be joined by Nick Peterson from the USA in the number 24. Shaji Zuhad and Alan van der Hove round out row 4 ahead of JJ Williams and Adam Merchant. Xavier Zinav and Julian Mador round out row 6 ahead of Jared Ziegler and Jace Mayer, who complete row number 7. James Turnbull, Guillermo Paré, Anthony Zitch, Josh Camper, Robert Nobles, Frankie Brzezinski round at your top 20 ahead of Fairchild, McAllister, Court, Sanchez, Renner, Gersler, Thomas, Alti, Delmas and Reitinger. That is going to be your 30-strong grid as we're just waiting for a couple of drivers to ready up. And once again, the rain starting to fall here at the home of British Motorsport as the 5 red lights, they start to ignite here as the revs start to build, and it's once again, it's red lights out, we're underway and we're racing. A couple of slow starters as it's going to be the run down to Abbey Corner. Big old tails of spray all over the shop, but there's a spinner at the front end, and that has collected a few people. Gabriel Hopp, oh my goodness, has tumbled down the order big time. Shaji Zuhair involved, so there was someone that was definitely having a bit of a moment, might have gotten turned around by the slightest amount of contact as the leaders make their way out through Aintree down the Wellington Straight for the first time. And it is
Larry
Johnson.
Maybe.
Yes, Larry Johnson. But look at Antonio Bianchi round the outside. How brave can you be? Well, if you're an Italian, you're going to definitely throw it to the outside. Noddy ML looking to get through as well. And he's also got through on Johnson. Callaway 4th. Merchant, Williams, Peterson. Ziegler up 5 spots. Michael Fairchild from Colombia. Well, the Colombia flag has just done a Juan Pablo Montoya. He's up 10 spots, and he's up to 11th.
Absolutely brilliant, isn't it? He's seen that. Probably used to these conditions there, because I know living in Panama, just north there of Colombia, that you get this torrential downpour. So a bit of practice at home there can help there, as Larry Johnson and Blanchard's putting a bit of attack on before, but had to back off at the moment there. Larry Johnson's fighting back. And, of course, he's the man that unfortunately threw away the race victory, but did not throw away crucial points. Jaden Callaway lurking in P4.
Yeah, and there is Adam Merchant for Squid Gang Racing, not too far behind. So this is the battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth. Noddy ML now has a lead of just over 1 second as we are far.
Whoa!
Oh, straight on! That is Bianchi. He went straight on at Club. Oh dear, clean up on aisle 3 and Code Brown, and how dirty do you want your tyres to get as he ends up, well, that was Ziegler going sideways, coming out of Club Corner down the Hamilton straight, bit of a wiggle on. Oh, someone's gone straight on, I think, at Farm Curve, and there is Jaden Calloway, who's now up into second position. Merchant on Johnson. Through into Aintree they go. Merchant's going to get the inside line onto the Wellington straight, and he's just going to nip ahead. There is JJ Williams. In the Rixona Williams rocket livery.
Yeah.
Oh, there is, I think there's Johnson in the background as well. Bianchi. Oh, Johnson's got off.
Yep.
That is not what you want to do coming into Brooklands and into Luffield.
Sliding in.
Bianchi's up to P6. Ziegler now through on Williams for P4 as they now make their way out of Woodcote and Luffield and go down the famed national pit straight. We're running on board with Nick Peterson closing in on Larry Johnson into Cops Corner.
Puddles.
Oh dear, someone has gone off
Bianchi.
exit stage left. That is Bianchi. So it's all changed at the front end of the field. And look at this, nearly 3 wide. Going into Maggots, into Beckett's, into Chappell. Oh, that's Williams. Williams has lost it. He nearly could have ended up exit stage left and straight on into the barriers, but he caught that one well and truly. That was definitely squeaky bum. That was definitely squeaky bum time for that driver there. Yeah. And that's dropped him all the way down to 18th.
Look at this. This should be red flagged. I mean, if this was a real race, it would be red flagged as Bianchi goes straight on. So he's not the only one. So does Sieg. Oh, this reminds me of Germany all over, isn't it? That absolutely chaotic wet weather race that they had in Formula One, where they just basically had everybody hydroplaning straight into the corner. There's no traction. You're just driving on puddles at this point. But the drivers somehow here at the Super Formula Z League is doing their best here in League Zero. And of course, there's action absolutely everywhere. We're going to go back up the front. Here's Callaway's on the back there of Merchant, my friend. Noddy's up the road. Wow, what a race.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 6 seconds up the road at the moment. So don't forget these drivers have to come in for a mandatory tyre change as well. Gabriel Hopp out, Xavier Zinav out, James Turnbull out, Elliot Court has been in the pits.
And there's another one out. It's Merchant. Onto the grass at least.
Yeah, well, fancy going rally crossing. Look at all the muckies kicking up onto the circuit now. And then we got Johnson and Peterson battling away. Johnson trying to go around the outside. Is he going to get the left? Is he going to get the inside line for the next right-hander? Not White. This is going to be coming out of Woodcote and Luffield, and then down the national pit straight.
Just can't put the power down, can you?
I know. He put the power down and started aquaplaning. The back end started shaking its hips more than Shakira does at a concert. But my goodness me. Well, they do say the hips don't lie. Well, that's definitely the rear axle, if you want to say that here at Silverstone.
Hip to be not squared on that one, yeah.
Yeah. The Pirelli, the tyres, the rubber corners, they don't lie, as they say. But straight away, Antonio Bianchi trying to close in on Leo Delmas. Not to be confused on surname with Yannick Dalmas, as in ex-F1 driver. Now the man who normally pilots one of the safety cars at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Look at the spray. Bianchi cannot see a thing. Pulls down the left-hand side, down the hangar straightaway into Stoke Corner. The Italian trying to put it round the outside. He might get a look through here. And he's got through on Delmas. But Delmas could have a lot of speed going into Vale and into Club. Delmas to the outside of the Italian, who gets the switchback attempt through at Club Corner, and he's going to make it through. God, we are only on lap 4 out of 24, and the cat has definitely been put amongst these Silverstonian pigeons here tonight, here, Biggles. Especially with the... mate, I mean, like, literally, there is... You have to go on blind instinct, and especially if you are on a motion sim rig, and you are in VR in this, you are having every single sense assaulted quite a lot.
Yeah, this is what you'd be seeing right now if you're in VR at best. So it's probably even better, a little bit better in the cockpit. Sets it down the inside. Might lock up the front. He will lock up the front. Too deep into the corner. You could see that when you come into the carrying the speed through there. That will allow Demar and Sanchez through. Here's Sanchez. There's Fabian Sanchez. He's up 12. He's loving these conditions at the moment. But then again, it's at the moment we're talking about, because it only takes one little snap of a brake and you go skating off here in Silverstone. Silverstone, the skating rink of motor racing, currently here tonight.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out to Michael Fairchild. He's up 14 places, started 21st, now currently running P7. He's trying to close in a 3.7 second gap as Austin Thomas. Well, I think the last part of his team name definitely sums up the conditions. Turn 1 tsunamis. Yeah, we've had a tsunami worth of rainfall here at Silverstone. But Austin trying to close in on Leo Delmas, who's had been the biggest mover up the order tonight. Started down in 29th position and is currently running P13. So it is a tactical ploy as to when to use the push to pass, if at all you're going to use it. Delmas comes in, Mayer comes in, so a couple of drivers might be deciding it's going to be more than one stop to maybe circumnavigate this race. Of course,
Johnson!
Larry Johnson has just spanked the barriers at big old speed, and that is all she wrote. Let's have a look. Well, you can see the front right. It happened earlier on in the lap.
Yeah.
So whether he's had contact with somebody else, that right front wheel. Let's see. Well, I mean, I'm sure that we might be able to get an idea of that probably post-race, but here we go with Antonio Bianchi closing in on the F2004 Ferrari Michael Schumacher tribute band. Alain van der Herve from the Netherlands, who is flying at the moment, but he understeers into Brooklands, and then it's through Luffield they go. Bianchi to the outside. Will the Avanti Autosport Italian get through on the Ferrari? Whoa! How do you do? Antonio Bianchi round the outside of Alain van der Herve. And there is Fabian Sanchez.
Let's see if you can see the battle up the road. Look at this. Where's your braking point, mate?
It's like, where's me markers? Bianchi's got off, I think. So Van der Herve's got back through for 9th. Into Maggots they go. You could just about make out the rooster tails if you're close enough. But Noddy ML looking for what could be a double delight for the current points leader. That will further extend his lead going into Fuji International Speedway in 2 weeks' time. But Fabian Sanchez, the number 8, looks like that is the Squid Gang Racing livery on that car. He is closing in on Alain van der Herve from the Netherlands, the Flying Dutchman. And it's coming through into Vale, now into Club Corner. Once again, hard on the brakes. Now just wait until you can apply the power coming out of the final part of Club Corner, leading you on to the Hamilton Straight. Stay away from those curbs. So even worse than the standing water puddles that we've got here at Silverstone. It's a run down into Abbey Corner before Farm. And you can see a little bit of understeer from Alain van der Herve as he tried to carry the speed through. Sanchez has a bit of a wiggle from the back end. Now hard on the brakes, turn it into second gear into Village. Probably going to have to go down a gear or stay in second. Here at the loop, get the traction coming out of the corner. Then it's a quick flick left into Aintree. And Sanchez keeping Van der Herve very, very honest. This is a battle on track now for P10, two separated by just over 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, do you see he goes off the racing line as well too, trying to get basically clear the spray so we can actually see his braking point a little bit more, see where he needs to attack currently at the moment of Van der Hoven up the road there in the Schumacher-esque livery there before the old Ferrari days, of course. But you can just see, as soon as you get the power down out of the corner, there's no traction whatsoever around here. You're just skating, and you're just hoping that the car slides into the corner, essentially at this point, almost drifts. And he's also under pressure from behind too, from the Argentine.
We're not even at 1/3 race distance, and already we've had a few casualties. Gabriel Hopp, Xavier Zenave, James Turnbull and Elliot Court. Peter Reitinger didn't even make it onto the track. There's Michael Fairchild for Zuki Racing in the number 88. He's now dropped to 7th position. He's been doing quite a good job at the moment, but Frankie Brzezowski's just got through on him. Frankie Brzezowski, oh my goodness, started 20th, now runs P6. So both drivers have made up, respectively, 14 places apiece. As Fabian Sanchez has come into the pit lane, maybe to get away from that battle between Van der Hoeven and Bianchi that was in front of him.
Yeah,
as Gareth McAllister for Rodent Jr.
Going to gamble on drive.
Closing in on... No. That would be brave. That would be trying to do the ultimate Jensen Button and then finding out it doesn't work because you're spinning more times than you're actually turning corners. Right. But yeah, so Sanchez opting to go in for tyres. So it is a mandatory one stop for all respective drivers. There is Gillian Mador, the Canadian driver, closing in on Frankie Brzezowski. So Michael Fairchild has lost a Gillian Mador's actually lost a place to Brzezowski at the moment. So Brzezowski on an absolute tear at the minute. But meantime, the ML is being closed in on by Jaden Callaway, who unfortunately had that slight faux pas coming out of Copse Corner on the last lap of the sprint race earlier on, as we just see the visibility being so heavily compromised here for Michael Fairchild for Zuki Racing, the 88, as they come through Chapel.
Oh, and he uses his push to pass too. That's bold and brave in these conditions, isn't it? But he wants to get past. He wants to try to make up those places. Remember, he's up 14 as well too. He's got between Julie and Frankie up the road there. 15 positions. Last and late breakers.
I don't think he even broke going into Stone Corner there because he gave Gillian Mador an absolute fright and a half. It was like, hello, how are you?
I don't lift in Silverstone.
Not yet.
Ever.
Do you have any trigger? But it's just now that point of who's going to be staying out for as long as possible. Noddy ML's last lap was a 1:55.4.
Whoa!
Oh, Guillermo Paré has just got past Gillian Camphor.
Yeah,
loving that. I'm sorry, go back to Guillermo for a second, because I was wondering when someone was going to do this. Look at that. Shades of good old Adrian Newey back from the 90s. Leighton House March livery colours. Oh, that's wonderful.
That is.
We're getting it all tonight. We're getting and it's even with when Autoglass used to be known as Carglass over here in the United Kingdom. One of the biggest sponsors for Leighton House at that point. And Adrian Newey, back in his early days, felt that the car was ultra competitive in its first season in those colours, but then unfortunately after that it went a bit downhill.
Was it back when Adrian Newey had hair? Oh, we have to go back even further.
That was before his Williams days.
Yeah.
With Patrick Head, Nigel Mansell.
Oh, what a combination, isn't it? That's like the Frank Tott and Ross Brawn days of the Ferrari, which is up the road, of course, in their peak throughout the noughties.
Back in 2000. Yeah. The most dominant display before the
Mercedes
RB20 came along last season.
That's right.
And then Max Verstappen rewrote the history books once again. But who's that? That's
Robert.
That was Robert Lopez.
He just slips off and lets him through. I think he just realised at that point he had a bad exit and said, "I'm not going to put up that much of a fight." Look at that fastest lap set by Noddy, mate. He's just going, all right. Are these track conditions better? You can see the rain's still bucketing down here at the moment. A little bit of a peak of sunshine. People in the United Kingdom going, what is that? We've never seen that big ball of helium and nitrogen burning in the sky. You don't get that very often.
Hang on. What is that yellow round thing that normally throws light onto us and makes us feel burnt to a crisp when we hit heat waves? Oh, it's the sun.
Oh, when you all come down to Australian beaches, of course, and then you go, we don't need suntan lotion, and you turn into red lobsters.
Yeah. That's when people forget they forget their common sense and their factor 50 with it as well. But yeah, this is a nice little battle between the old school liveries, Paré versus Van der Hoeven. So Ferrari versus Leighton House, and then we've got Richard Nobles. Oh, bit of a wiggle there for the El Milagro Racing Team Leighton House car.
Yep, he did too.
Yep.
Allows Roberto through.
Yeah, So Robert goes through and retakes that 9th position, goes challenging the Flying Dutchman in the F2004 tribute livery band up in front of Allard van der Herve from the Netherlands, the number 66. It's even got the big Fiat logo on it as well.
Yeah, I feared, but I don't believe it. It's
But all I can say is the attention to detail. Let's, Dean, bring back the camera angle from the left side pod of Allard's car if you can. Look.
Oh, yep.
You see the colours of the German national flag.
Yep. Oh. Wait,
on
yeah.
the suspension.
Yeah, on the suspension. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What if he's a Schumacher fan, of course? I mean, the only other person would be to go to Max's dad back in the day that would have been racing around with Schumacher for a period of time there. Obviously, Jos Verstappen.
Yep, Jos the boss.
Jos the boss.
Who now, these days, when he's not in the Red Bull garage, he's normally behind the wheel of a WRC2 rally car with SP Motorsport. Run by Max's former car.
I'd love to see him go up against Carlos Sainz Sr. in the rally days between those two guys.
Oh God,
Carlos
maybe Sainz Sr. will probably throw his crash helmet through the back windscreen if he didn't get his way, or the car failed. But no, I mean Jos. I still remember when what was it? When they had the Renault 1 Make Series like coupes, and Max took him for a lap of Spa and absolutely scared the bejesus out of his old man. I thought, oh, Jos the boss, he wasn't scared of anything apart from the racing prodigy that he helped nurture, his own son, no less.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, Stan Pex, who's a good friend of a good personal friend of Max, actually, who's also he runs the SP Motorsport team, and that also includes Stan's dad, Richard, who used to be Max's old engine tuner back in the days. They now run in rallying, so Richard and Jos run in nicely turned out cars, which do look a bit of a second hand, depending on how they've gotten on in the rallying. But yeah, Jos is enjoying his new lease of life behind the wheel and says, "Oh, thank God I don't have to get behind one of the wheel of a current modern day Formula 1 car." Probably because the fact at his age, his body wouldn't stand up to it.
Yeah,
considering what you see nowadays. But Van der Herve and Nobles going side by side into Maggots, Beckett's. Robert goes through on Allard. So that's a change for position, but mainly the fact that I think that Allard didn't really.
2 into 1 into one of the most famous sections of all its famous corners and all of motor racing tracks around the world. You don't see too many people go side by side through that too often. Wisely, as the last of the late breaks there.
Yeah, Mo.
Yeah, he's bringing the who is it? The old famous Argentine driver back into the history books. You'd have to say. What's his name? Come on.
Oh, hang on. There was one I do remember. I think. I don't think.
Who's the first famous Argentine in Formula One? Come on, won many championships.
Juan Manuel Fangio, of course.
That's it. Yes. That's what I was meaning to say.
And there's another driver. There's another driver that we do need to remember. Well, apart from Franco Colapinto, currently with BWT Alpine F1, Carlos Reutemann is another name.
Yes.
Yeah, Carlos Reutemann. And he was the only. He was actually the. Yeah, it has been 44 years since an Argentine driver has won a Grand Prix, and that was back at the Belgian Grand Prix in 1981. And Reutemann, that was actually his last complete season, and finished as runner-up in the Drivers' Championship, driving for Williams. He also raced for Ferrari, and funnily enough, Reutemann decided to go on to have a career in politics.
Very interesting to see the overtake pushed on there of Jace Meyer for the Rabbit Racing entrance. He's 77 because he's started in 14th. He's currently running 14th. Considering the attrition rate we've had so far in this race, that's good because, first of all, you just survive Silverstone as we're about halfway through this race at this point. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Bringing it home. And we saw that before from McAllister, the Aussie from behind. We've seen him before, didn't we, in races? We've seen him win races before in the past. And that's on pure speed and merit. We've seen him get good results on tracks that he hasn't been that comfortable with. But he's a man that just wants to survive the races and get crucial points, as Robert Nobles is in from P8 in pit lane as well, too, for mandatory pit stops. So some of these drivers still have yet to complete. Alex.
Yeah, so we are pretty much nearly at 50% distance so far. We're on lap 12 out of 24. The rain is slightly subsiding, but not to the point where things are going to be easy.
Mate. Oh, that's going to hurt your back.
Delmas. Oh, that's going to hurt your that's going to jolt up your spine through your coccyx and as the Germans would say, the Popometer.
Well, yeah. As Martin Brundle would say, it'll shake the fillings out of your teeth.
Yeah, it's just like when he said to Christian Horner said to him once on the grid, "Oh, shame you're not racing here. Oh, shame you weren't fast enough to be in Formula One." When he said that to Christian Horner on the grid. Way back when. But, however, we have 2/3 of the field still running. Noddy ML. Oh, Jaden Callaway is just taking the fight. Right, the lap times are coming down.
They are.
A good sign. Jaden Callaway just did a 52.6. Adam Merchant did a 52.599 as Michael Fairchild from Colombia in the number 88 has just pitted from 5th on the road. We're riding on board with Squid Gang Racing's Jaden Callaway, who is just under 2 seconds behind Noddy ML. There has been, as Adam Merchant's gone off ever so slightly. Antonio Bianchi has now just pitted as well, so we'll see how long it is. Allard van der Herven has come in.
Oh, yeah, onto the slippery stuff in the chicane. It's slippery enough on the track, but go out in the painted chicanes, you're in a little bit of trouble. Drops 2 places, I believe.
Yeah, that was down the Wellington Straight going into Brooklands. That was definitely a spinneroony, as we'd like to call it. Right, so Michael Fairchild, 7.15 seconds on his marks. Bianchi, 7.10 seconds. Austin Thomas, 12.1. Leo Delmas was 11.1 on his pit stop. Van der Herve, McAllister, Gersler, they're all in. So we have lost Julian Medor, Larry Johnson, JJ Williams, Jared Ziegler, AJ Brenner, Gabriel Hopp, Xavier Zunov, James Turnbull, Elliot Court, and Peter Heitinger so far. So Saji Zuhair from Canada finished the previous race in 7th, running last at the moment in 20th position. But as you can see, a lot of drivers looking to go very late into this race without having done their mandatory pit stop. And Noddy ML, Jaden Callaway, Adam Merchant, they are all still trying to keep the cars on the black stuff. Jaden Callaway has just put in a 51.975, so he is trying to close that gap to Noddy ML, who's just done a personal best of a 52.768. The track is evolving here, Biggles, because now we're seeing less standing water puddles and drivers feeling a little bit more confident. Obviously, these drivers are running, let's not forget, folks, on a fixed setup as well. So everyone is on the same boat, and it's about the person who can use the car and the fixed setup to the best of their ability.
You didn't just use the boat reference in a wet race, did you? I see where you're coming from. That everybody's in the same boat. Yep, get that. I get that pun.
Yeah, but that was not even mentioned. That was not even intentional.
That's what I thought. But hey, right, that's what happens when you get one of the best commentators on the planet in the booth with you with tons of experience. So look at this at the moment.
Too tight.
You got one
Callaway.
stopper. So Fairchild is the first one that's the closest, let's say, but he's a minute and change down the road from this lot up there that are still yet to make the pit stops. You can see the top 6 have to make a pit stop. Now, judging by my information I'm getting from Ted down there in pit lane, he's saying it's probably about a 46, 45 second overall pit stop. So that, at the moment, should be safe for the top 2. But when you get around Adam Merchant's territory, 3rd and onwards, perhaps the Colombians' early pit stop might pay off. Time will tell.
You could be very well right there. Noddy ML now puts in the new fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 51.876. Jaden Callaway 2.7 seconds behind. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the way that Fairchild is looking could probably be 3rd by the time that we have all the pit stops carried out. But if there's a mistake done by one of the other drivers in front of him, we've already seen that with Adam Merchant. Now, Adam did a 360. Here comes Frankie Brzezowski. So he's coming into pit lane. Is Guillermo Paré in the Leighton House livery going to come in very shortly? We might find out soon enough.
No.
Paré is not going down pit lane.
Yeah.
Yep. So what about... So that could be that Josh Kampfer is the next highest placed driver that is yet to make his...
He's coming out. Well,
pit
what
stop.
about Michael will get that place, so Michael should get Frankie. Frankie will be on the exit.
He will.
Yep.
He will.
And
Yeah,
then
he
Michael's
will do.
going to be there. Yeah, no problemo. So that means that, well, that's pretty straightforward on that one. But will Michael be able to get enough to jump Adam Merchant there, or Nick Peterson will be... They be the question. Oh, Frankie's had a spin, I think. He has! Oh, coming out of pit lane, my friend. Ginger conditions, and let's have a look what happened. Oh, he's already damaged his front wing there.
Oh, he's already damaged his front wing, so there's no downforce in the front end of that car, so that's going to understeer like a bugger.
Yeah.
And he's going to go straight on.
Yeah, he's going to retire it. Callaway's in. Callaway is in. So, this is interesting, my friend.
He's
He's
the first one out of the top 5. Yeah, top 5.
And Adam,
first one of the top 5.
So
Adam Merchant has come in.
Are they going to double stack the Squid Racing team entrance because they've only got one pit box, a pit stall? No, of course they have 2 here. They should make it you only have 1 for teams, isn't it? That'll make it a little bit more fun.
It would make it a hell of a lot more interesting. But this is going to allow... So, Callaway on his marks. How long has he be on his marks for? 6.77 seconds. That was a quick pit stop. And, now for Merchant.
And yeah, no, that's way too far. Merchant's going to be exiting pit road right now. And Callaway's already out. Peterson is right there.
That's very close to an Aston Martin and Ramco F1 livery, isn't it? Or maybe an old Team Lotus livery back in the day. But yeah, this is going to be quite interesting because at the moment, Noddy ML is yet to pit. Nick Peterson yet to pit.
Nick Peterson wants to take this one, doesn't he, from Callaway? Although Callaway's already taken his pit stop, so if Callaway's like, just let him through at the end of the day because he knows Peterson has to come in, but he's not. He's not wanting to yield it.
No, he won't want to yield it because it's an on-track battle for position. So he'd rather that Peterson try and see if he can put the frighteners on him, but they are going to go into Cop's corner. Nick Peterson having to do a little bit of adjustment there on the steering wheel. So these drivers very much are getting closer and closer to the end. So, okay, Noddy ML now in on lap number 16.
Oh, that's why Callaway can't afford to be backing off. He needs to put a banker lap in if he wants to jump him, doesn't he? He needs Schumacher-esque days, basically qualifying laps, knowing that your arch rival is in pit lane right now. So he did. So he's keeping Nick behind him. He's not using any push to pass, which is interesting, Alex. So let's see whether or not he can jump him. Noddy's going to be leaving pit road in a second.
7.4 seconds. Oh, right. Okay, let's see. There's Jaden Callaway. Now,
and Noddy's out.
This is going to be Noddy's out, but this is going to give, if he's changed tyres, well, ML's tyres are going to be colder than Callaway's. So Callaway came in a lap ago, so his tyres will be up to temp. He goes through on Allard van der Hoeven, who keeps out of the way.
3.8 is the gap, mate.
Yeah, I think there's still a possibility if Jaden Callaway really starts picking up the pace here, and he's got a target in front of him, even though it might not be Noddy ML, who's just, I think, coming through out of Luffield as we speak. This is going to give an opportunity for Jaden Callaway to get on the loud pedal on the right-hand side of the cockpit and try and follow the car in front. He will get that spray in his face, but he'll get a tow going down in towards Copse Corner. He's just got to negotiate it. Guillermo Perret and Anthony Zitch. Perret is out of pit lane. Zitch is in. Leo Delmas has been in the pit lane for 1 minute and 35, so his run up, moving significantly up the order, has come to a slightly abrupt end. There was one driver just slightly off circuit.
I think they were just letting him through. Slower, back marker. Didn't want to get into this fight.
Shout out to Austin Thomas in the number 35. He is up, and that is one of the drivers from Mustard Seed Racing.
Oh, somebody said a spin.
Has moved up to
Sanchez.
7th. Oh.
Fabian.
Who's just come in? Peterson's just come in. Peterson has come in, so that is going to give Merchant and Fairchild, I think, maybe an opportunity. Here's Fabian Sanchez. You can see the amount of spray coming through, and this is... Oh.
Yeah.
You were just off the racing line, Sunshine. You just got away with it. Right, okay. Here is Peterson. He's yet to stop on his marks.
So Merchant did get him. Sorry, Fairchild's the one that's going to be more looking out for, isn't it, for Nick? But I don't think he's going to have enough because he's got a couple more corners to navigate. There goes Nick. So Nick should be out clear. Oh, Fairchild is not even down the start-finish line. Now he will be. Yep. So the undercut hasn't paid off. Nick's back out in P4.
Yeah, so we are coming down to the final 6.5 laps of this race. Here for round 3 of the League Zero Super Formula Series. In partnership, presented by Inca Salsa. Noddy ML 4 seconds clear of Jaden Callaway. So it looks like they're both going to pick up significant points, and it's going to be the 4th win. They'll be back-to-back here tonight for Noddy ML at the home of British Motor Racing before we head to the circuit with, I think, probably the longest straight in modern-day motorsport, Fuji International Speedway. Of course, the scene of the 1976 World Championship Formula One finale between Messrs. Niki Lauda and the man who would eventually wrap up the title that weekend, Mr. James Hunt. May he rest in peace.
Yep. May they both rest in peace, of course. But yes, absolutely.
Niki, who we lost in 2019. A long time non-executive director of the board at Mercedes-AMG Motorsport. But yeah, Noddy ML just doing exactly what he needs to do in these weather conditions. It is starting to brighten up a little bit here as well, Biggles. It's not as dark and as dingy as we had for the majority of, for all of the sprint race, but the majority of the feature. The clouds seem to be parting in the skies above.
Well, they aren't parting the seas of red because there is red up front, red P2. That's the battle currently at the moment. We've seen that, and we're going to see this all season long. Again, we saw that last season. You're going to see a back marker, hopefully not getting too much in the way of Jaden Callaway. He needs to put banker after banker after banker laps at the moment there, but seems to be anything he's putting down right now, Noddy ML is matching. So a bit of work to do here for the man that made it a little mistake, obviously, in the first heat race and handed that race win to the very man he's trying to catch right now in P1.
Yeah, so Jaden Callaway for Squid Gang Racing in the number 1, trying to chase down Noddy ML in the number 99. It was 3.8 seconds up the road. You can see because there's a bit of distance between the pair. well, Jaden Callaway has got full visibility of the 3.660 mile, 5.890 kilometre, 18 turn circuit here at Silverstone. That gap is not coming down at the moment. I think Callaway's just going to decide, you know what, I could go for the win, but would I want to risk it for the biscuit? In some respects, the answer would be a definitive no. You'd rather pick up the points and go into Fuji with the new set of motivational goals and positive optimism on how you might get on there, because obviously the slipstreaming will see the cars top over 290, 300 kilometers an hour with push to pass enabled at Fuji on July the 17th, which will be round 4 out of 11. And at that point, we'll have 10 laps for the sprint race and 30 laps for the feature.
Yeah, but one man would like, Jaden Callaway would like to go into tomorrow and his Independence Day on the 4th of July in the United States of America with a win. Adam's currently in P3. Be nice to go. He's going into his 4th of July with P3, and Nick Peterson as well too, going into his 4th of July with a weekend. And happy 4th of July weekend to all of our friends across the pond in the United States of America.
Celebrate.
Yep.
And normally after Independence Day, they normally have Labor Day weekend as well.
Yes.
So Jaden Callaway closing that gap. It was 3.4 seconds. It's now just a shade over 2.9 as we are counting down the laps. We're on lap 20 out of 24, so 5 to go, including this one at the moment. Callaway trying to, well, last time around he was 4/10 quicker than Noddy ML last time round. It looks like he is improving sector by sector, corner by corner. Callaway in trying to chase down Noddy ML at the moment. No push to passes have been fully utilised in this 24 lap race, as we see this wonderful camera shot going through Stowe Corner as they head into Club and through Vale and into Club Corner. The gap is fluctuating. It's a bit like a pendulum between ML and Callaway at the moment here, Biggles, because one time it's like ML's slower on a certain part of the track and Callaway's got it really, really hooked up, and you can see that Noddy ML
2.7 now, isn't it? And then it goes up to about 3.4 as they're chucking these cars around, my friend. Look at that.
Well, Noddy ML is doing more doing more Silverstone sideways than trying to keep the gap over Jaden Callaway to a fairly decent margin, which was 3 seconds. It's now come down to 2.3.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
Last lap time for Jaden Callaway was over 6/10 quicker. So in the unhindered clear air that he's got, Callaway is catching ML. So don't say at this moment in time, folks, that Jaden Callaway should be written off. Callaway is faster than ML at this moment in time, and in the opening sector, Jaden Callaway was 1/10 quicker. Previous run through sector 2, he's just gone half a second quicker in sector 2. Sector 3 is another 1/10 and a bit up as the rain has started to come down again. The gap now 1.9 seconds. Noddy ML is siphoning time, and Callaway is catching him hand over fist. The gap just about a minute and a half ago was 3.2 seconds. It's now down to under 1.9. So Callaway has got a motivational target in front of him. That is.
Oh yeah, that'll help him. Yeah, did you see Noddy go straight over the chicane there at the moment? That's going to drop it down to almost a second. It will be on the exit. Here it is. As you said, couple laps to go. Jaden Callaway knows that there's a victory up for grabs here. Noddy knows he's got to try to hold him up literally here for 2 laps, 3 laps really at best. And I tell you what, you don't want to get away from your screens at the moment here. This is going to be a nice little battle to the very end.
So Jaden Callaway has Noddy ML in the number 99 in his crosshairs. 3 laps to go, including this one. We're about 25% of the lap as they go down the Wellington Straight, heading into the complex at Brooklands, Luffield and Woodcote, and then it's on the power down the National Pit Straight in towards Copse corner. There is a back market in front of them. I'm not too sure who that is, but that driver could play a little bit of a... Austin Thomas, okay. So who is currently on the lead lap and is 9th at the moment. So everyone up to 9th place has been lapped so far. Through into Copse corner they go again. Jace Mayer has gone off track in 7th position. But it's ebbing and flowing once again in terms of the battle for the race lead, because they're having to go through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. It's a bit like treading on eggshells. It's a bit like skating on an ice rink with Nike Air Force Ones on your feet. And now Noddy ML gets through on Austin Thomas, and so does Jaden Callaway. Callaway very close. They head through into Stowe corner, or the second from last time, through Vale. And then into Club. Gap is now about 1.1 seconds under braking. Callaway thinks that he might have an opportunity here. The gap is down to just over 0.8 of a second. 2 laps remain. 7.2 miles to go. Callaway saves it whilst putting the pedal to the metal. Now can hardly see anything. Through into Abbey. Now into Farm Curve. Through into the right-hander. The tight right-hander here at Village that brings us onto the loop on the first part of the infield section here at Silverstone, and then it's going to be accelerate out of the corner, wait, plant the throttle now, and then go through the left-hander here at Aintree, avoid the curbing on the left and the right, and now pedal to the metal, up the gears. You can see that
he hasn't even touched his
Jaden
overtake.
Callaway,
yeah,
he's hardly touched it at all. He has used pure racecraft to get that close, and that means that Noddy ML, who has been using a lot more of his push to pass, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Jaden Callaway has got that thing on until the end of this race, because we now have a lap and a half remaining. Into Copse corner we go for the penultimate time. This is going to be very, very close indeed, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be going down the hanger straight when Noddy ML will be at the mercy of Jaden Callaway. Through out of Chapel Curve we go. And it's pedal to the metal very shortly. So through Maggots, through Beckett's, now through Chapel. And he's still got that push to pass engaged as Jaden Callaway. And the gap is less than 4 and a bit tenths of a second into Stowe corner. Callaway's still going to keep a hold of that push to pass. He is going to absolutely exhaust it, because now they go in towards Vale and Club for the penultimate time. It is going to be one more lap to go for our race leaders, and we have got a grandstand finale here at the home of British Motorsport, Silverstone. White flag in the air. ML using his push to pass. Callaway not letting go of his as they head into Abbey for the final time. Gap now up to 0.8 of a second.
Oh, another foul slide. He's going to save it, isn't he? That's the problem. He's got his overtake on too in treacherous conditions still. And into the out in the corners, a little bit too much power. But he's throwing everything: the kitchen sink, all the utensils, the cats and dogs, the kids if you got them. He's going it for it, going for gold.
Sous chef, head chef, whatever you want to throw at him. I mean, Jaden Callaway is throwing everything out of the playbook and out of the window right now as they head into Brooklands, then into the right-hander that opens up through Luffield and into Woodcote. Look, the gap now 4 and a bit tenths of a second. Callaway, can he find a way through? Down the national pit straight they go for what will be the final time. We are now 50% of the way through the lap, so 1.8 miles of tarmac remains, and who will be our race winner? Through into Maggots we go at breakneck speed. 45 seconds left on the push to pass for Jaden Callaway. Noddy ML, he is exhausting his push to pass as well. He's doing exactly the same as Jaden Callaway. Down we go through the hanger straight. It is going to be nip and tuck. But I think if ML's just run out of push to pass, Callaway might have an opportunity here, but it could be at the line. Down into Stowe corner for the 24th and final time. The gap is not going to be beaten. ML exhausting his push to pass. Nick Peterson's done the same. But look at Jaden Callaway. He's still got some in reserve. Out of the final corner, Noddy ML will do the double here at round 3, beating Jaden Callaway by 3.5 tenths of a second after 24 laps.
Wow. Yeah, look at that. And they got a 34-second gap back to the other Squid Gang racing entrance there of the American there of Adam Merchant. So he'll get that P3 position secured if he doesn't make any mistakes in his final couple of corners there. And he'll have a nice little 10-second gap there over the his fellow countryman there of Nick Peterson. But, wow, absolutely fantastic. You've survived Silverstone in the wet. That's where you should get one of those T-shirts. I survived Silverstone in the wet, in brackets underneath it there, of course. And,
with in brackets with P2P.
Yeah, with P2P, yeah. How's that? You'd have to say, one of the biggest gainers there, the Colombian driver of Michael Fairchild, and a fair play driving there for the Zucchi Racing entrance. He's got 16 places up for the double eight. So he should be very, very happy with those results too. And Blanchie did have a nice little fight back, didn't he, from Antonio? I mean, he dropped from the penthouse to the outhouse, back up into the sub-penthouse essentially, and gets himself a P6 position, 5 positions down there for the Italiano.
Yeah, the man that started on the top 5 inverted pole position. We are waiting for just a few more drivers to cross the line, but a big rate of attrition, a third of the field out before half distance. And also we did have a few more drivers fall by the wayside. Actually, in total, we only have had, and I'm going to get this right, 8 drivers that made the full race distance. And there is Guillermo Paré in the Leighton House liveried El Milagro Racing Team number 52. That crosses the line and is the last classified finisher to make it onto the lead lap. But it is, well, what can I say? Here amidst the damp, dreary, downtrodden, sodding wet conditions here at the home of British Motor Racing, Silverstone, it's Noddy ML that picks up a 4th win of the season so far. And he wins by 3.5 tenths ahead of Jaden Callaway, with Adam Merchant making it a 2-3 for the Squid Gang Racing crew. They'll be happy with that. That should hopefully give them a few more points on the board as they came into this race evening with 5th in the team standings. But hopefully that'll help. Help both Jaden and Adam move up the order. Jaden coming into tonight with 6th in the standings. Adam 4th. Michael Fairchild, Zucchi Racing's very own. What a race from him. Started down in 21st position and finishes in 5th ahead of Avanti Autosports, Antonio Bianchi. Then it was Jace Mayer, Guillermo Paré, the last driver classified on the lead lap ahead of Austin Thomas and Josh Kempfer for Lazy Lizard that rounded out the top 10. Ala van der Hoeven finishing ahead of Fabian Sanchez, Sajid Zuhair, Anthony Zitch, Aaron Gersler being the lot. We had a 50% rate of attrition in this race because Gareth McAllister was next up, 16th ahead of Leo Delmas, Robert Nobles, Frankie Brzezinski, Rafi Alti, who rounded out the top 20, Julian Mador, Larry Johnson, JJ Williams, Jared Ziegler, AJ Brenner, Gabriel Hopp, Xavier Zinav, James Turnbull, Elliot Court and Peter Reitinger, unfortunately falling by the wayside. But what can you say about those 2 races, Biggles? Wet, extreme wet conditions. It would have been red flagged if it was Formula 1. But all of our drivers still gave it everything, and Noddy ML is going to be smiling all the way to the bank once he takes stock of what has happened tonight.
Yeah, exactly. That just goes to show the extreme skill levels of these drivers, and you have to give it to Noddy. He had a couple more laps. He would have really been under some serious pressure, and he wouldn't have there from Jaden Callaway. But at the end of the day, it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to overtake. And Noddy knew he had that advantage on his side. And he also knew that Jaden Callaway had made a mistake on that first heat race, so under pushing. So Noddy ML, of course, now a multiple race winner, can handle the pressure in the Ferrari and takes another victory under, as you said, conditions that probably only Lewis Hamilton or Sir Lewis Hamilton would love, and perhaps would love in real life racing this weekend.
Yeah, well, that really wraps up live coverage of the League Zero Super Formula Series presented by Inca Salsa. You've joined myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Dean Biggles for about the last hour and 20 minutes here at the home British Motor Racing at Silverstone. Don't forget, the series is back in 2 weeks' time as the Mie Prefecture, the hills of the mountains of Mount Fuji will be surrounding the Fuji International Speedway for what is going to be the 4th race evening out of 11. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you can keep notified on what else is happening here on the JP Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, if you want to get involved with League Zero, head to leaguezero.net. There are also other bits and pieces of information linked in the description down below. As always, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.